Your resume seems exaggerated, the interviewer said, brushing off my qualifications with a dismissive tone. I doubt you've managed accounts of this scale. 15 years of effort compressed into a single, skeptical sentence. My heart pounded as I sat up straighter, the pressure of mounting bills weighing on me. Everything on that resume is accurate, I said, calmly. The expansion strategy one led. She cut me off with a smirk. Numbers are easy to write. Without backing from a top firm, your claims seem questionable. Just 8 months earlier, I'd been overseeing projects across 5 countries. But when new leadership took over, they pushed out experienced women in favor of their own inner circle. Now, here I was, on my 73rd interview, facing yet another gatekeeper who saw only her assumptions. She tapped a pen against my resume. This portfolio seems a bit far-fetched. Suddenly, the side door opened and a sharply dressed man walked in. He stopped mid-step when he saw me. "It's you," he said warmly. "The strategist who saved our company last year when every other consultant said our product line was doomed." He turned to the interviewer. "We're ready to triple our investment, if she's on your team." The interviewer's expression shifted instantly. "Oh, well, this is certainly unexpected," she said, now smiling. Elias is not easily impressed. "Could you share more about that project?" I took a breath. I designed their Southeast Asia entry strategy. Other firms warned against it due to cultural hurdles, but I spotted opportunities they missed. She nodded vigorously. "And the results?" 37% growth in just 2 quarters, well beyond projections. She leaned forward, suddenly full of enthusiasm. "We'd like to fast-track your application. We may even consider you for the senior director role, much higher compensation, of course." Just minutes ago, she had treated me like an imposter. Now, with Elias's endorsement, I was apparently exactly what they needed. I couldn't ignore the whiplash. "The role requires someone with gravitas," she continued, oblivious to the irony. I sat quietly as she rewrote the narrative in real time, pretending she'd seen my potential all along. But I remembered Crest Innovations. The new CEO, Preston, had replaced all 5 female directors with less experienced men from his network. My severance package was generous, but silence had been part of the price. Back then, I was sure I'd land somewhere new quickly. But 73 interviews had taught me something sobering. Some people couldn't reconcile my success with their ideas of who was allowed to be successful. "We'll have an offer by tomorrow," she said eagerly. The next day, she delivered, an offer far above the listed range. I asked for the weekend to consider it. Saturday morning, I stared at the letter. It would ease my financial strain, no question. But something felt off. I thought of all the brilliant women over 40 who were dismissed without the benefit of a well-timed endorsement. Then came a message from Nisha, a former colleague. "Still on for tomorrow?" "I have news." Over coffee, her eyes sparkled. At 56, she had unmatched energy and wisdom. "I've been consulting with a few former clients," she said. "They all ask why there isn't a firm that combines data with cultural intelligence. The big consultancies miss the human side." I nodded. We'd seen it at Crest too, recommendations that failed because they lacked empathy and local insight. "What if we built that firm?" she asked. "You, me, and maybe Yara for digital?" The idea lit a fire in me. Yara, like us, had been pushed out during the acquisition. "You mean, start our own company?" "Exactly. Between us, we have contacts across continents. And we've got our severance packages as funding." I slid the TGR offer letter across the table. Nisha scanned it and raised an eyebrow. "Impressive. But your face says it all." I told her what happened in the interview. "They only valued me once someone else said I was worth it." Nisha handed back the letter. So, what's stopping you? By the end of that coffee, Prism Strategies had its foundation. A consultancy built on the insight the big firms missed, designed to thrive in the markets they didn't understand. By Monday, I respectfully declined TGR's offer. Philomena replied within minutes, "Perhaps we can increase the offer." Elias asked about you again. But I knew my answer. I thanked her, made it clear the decision wasn't about money, and shut my laptop with a peace I hadn't felt in months. Building Prism was the hardest and most fulfilling experience of my career. Nisha, Yara, and I poured our severance into it and built something real, something powerful. And it all started with someone underestimating me. We started out in Nisha's converted garage, leaning on our industry networks to land our first meetings. Our big break came from Damon Reeves, a mid-level manager at a consumer electronics company who had once attended one of my workshops. Remembering my unique approach, he contacted me about assessing potential expansion into Southeast Asia, a move their current consultants had advised against. Though the budget was small, the opportunity was ideal. We spent 3 weeks crafting a detailed analysis that spotlighted promising market entry points that traditional models had overlooked. When we presented our findings, the room shifted from cautious to captivated. 2 vice presidents, originally not on the schedule, showed up midway. "This is exactly what we've been trying to explain," one said. "You've quantified the opportunity and addressed the cultural layers." That single project sparked a chain reaction, 3 referrals, each bigger than the last. Within 4 months, we'd hired 2 analysts and moved into a modest office. Then came the pivotal moment, the Global Market Summit, our industry's most prestigious conference. We weren't a major player yet, but Yara, who had previously chaired the tech panel, used her connections to land us a presentation slot on a secondary stage. Our topic, Invisible Markets, Identifying Overlooked Growth Opportunities, wasn't intended to be disruptive. We simply presented real cases showing how traditional models missed key insights by ignoring cultural factors. What we didn't realize was that Elias Bowen, CEO of one of our earliest success stories, was in the audience. During the Q&A, Elias stood up. "Your approach contradicts everything my board's consultants have been saying. How confident are you in these projections?" I recognized him instantly but remained composed. "Our models have consistently outperformed traditional forecasts by 23 to 41%. We can back every claim with data." Elias smiled. "You certainly can. You turned our company around. Why aren't you at TGR? I personally recommended you." The room went still. TGR was a major sponsor, with their CEO scheduled to speak the next day. "I pursued a different opportunity," I replied professionally. Elias nodded. "Well, their loss. I'd like to hear more about your current work. Are you accepting new clients?" "Selectively," I said. After that session, everything changed. Attendees who had skipped our talk started requesting private meetings. Reporters suddenly wanted our take on industry trends. But the defining moment came later that evening during a networking event. I was speaking with a potential client when I noticed Philomena Oswald, TGR's Chief Talent Officer, watching me across the room. She stood next to Gerard Walsh, TGR's CEO, both looking tense as Elias made a beeline toward me. "Aviva!" Elias called out, pausing nearby conversations. "Our board has agreed, we're moving all of our Apex strategy work to Prism." Philomena's face went pale. "That's a huge portfolio," I said calmly, aware of the scene we were creating. "Worth every cent, based on your results," Elias replied. "And frankly, we're disappointed in our current consultants." As he left, Gerard and Philomena hurried after him. Their discussion looked heated. Elias shook his head more than once. Later, Gerard approached me. "Aviva, right? I understand there were complications during your interview process." "No complications," I answered evenly. Your talent officer judged me until Elias shifted her view. He flinched. Sometimes exceptional talent slips through. I appreciate that, but Prism is my priority now. Maybe a strategic partnership, he suggested. Your boutique approach, our global reach. Before I could answer, Nisha appeared. Sorry to interrupt, but we have a meeting. There was no meeting. But her timing was flawless. Nice to meet you, I said, and turned away. That summit was the turning point for Prism. Within 3 months, we had 7 major clients, including Elias's company. Our team grew to 17, each person selected for both their skills and diverse perspectives. If you're enjoying this story, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We share real-life business comeback stories weekly. Stories about underestimated professionals who reshaped industries. Now, let's continue. Our rapid growth meant we needed more space. We moved into a sunlit office in a renovated warehouse district, not flashy, but scalable. I insisted the conference room have glass walls. At Prism, transparency wouldn't just be a buzzword, it would be visible. 6 months after the summit, our client list had tripled. We were now a 28-person team, with talent from unconventional backgrounds. While traditional firms recruited from the same elite schools, we found brilliance in overlooked places. Vera, our research director, had been rejected by a dozen firms despite her innovative market forecasting models. She ended up revamping our entire analytics system. Milo, a 60-year-old former teacher who earned his business degree later in life, redefined how we communicated with clients through behavioral insights. Our true edge wasn't just diversity, it was methodology. While most firms interpreted global data through Western frameworks, we reversed that approach. We analyzed markets through local cultural lenses first, then layered in economic models. Our results consistently shattered industry norms. Then, one Tuesday morning, 13 months after Prism launched, Yara stormed into my office, tablet in hand. "You've got to see this," she said, placing it on my desk. The headline from the industry newsletter read, "TGR launches new division, Horizon Markets." The article announced that TGR was launching a new division aimed at underexplored international markets, using language strikingly similar to Prism's own messaging. Yara crossed her arms and said, "They're copying our entire strategy." As I read through the article, something caught my eye. "Guess who's leading this new division?" I asked. "Who?" Yara responded. "Philomena Oswald." Her eyes widened. "The same person who said you lacked credibility?" "Exactly." Later that afternoon, Nisha uncovered something more troubling. TGR had arranged meetings with 3 of our largest clients, offering nearly identical services at rates 30% lower. "They're slashing prices to gain market share," she reported. "They can afford the losses for now." I leaned back, thinking it through. They can mimic our tactics and drop their prices, but they can't match our team or our thinking. Let's accelerate the launch of the framework. Nisha and I had been developing a revolutionary talent assessment tool that measured potential through scenario-based challenges rather than relying on resumes or conventional credentials. "It's still in beta," Nisha cautioned. "Then we'll finish it faster," I said. "This is more than just business now, it's about proving our philosophy." We spent the next 3 weeks refining the system. When we tested it with a client's hiring team, the results exceeded our expectations. The tool surfaced top-tier candidates who would have been rejected under traditional filters. The company's innovation director was stunned. These applicants would have never made it past our first screening. Their profiles are completely outside our norm. I explained, that's exactly the point. Excellence doesn't come in one package. Word traveled fast. As TGR focused on mimicking our market research methods, we shifted the industry narrative. We weren't just identifying overlooked markets, we were helping companies find the overlooked talent needed to thrive in them. 2 months later, we got an unexpected email from Darian Winters, TGR's Director of Client Services. He requested a meeting. Intrigued, I agreed. Darian arrived on time, impeccably dressed, but clearly uneasy. After a quick round of formalities, he got to the point. TGR would like to discuss acquiring Prism strategies. Our board believes there's great potential in aligning our organizations. I kept a neutral expression. That's quite the proposal. What's driving this interest? Your growth is impressive, he replied carefully. Your methodologies, especially the talent framework, are attracting significant attention. The same ones TGR had been trying to imitate. He shifted uncomfortably. While there may be some parallel development, your team has a unique edge we can't replicate. Who initiated this? I asked. It came from the board, he said, avoiding eye contact. Gerard Walsh is very interested in speaking with you. I nodded. I'd be willing to have that conversation, but I'd like whoever will be leading the integration to join as well. That would be Philomena Oswald, Darian said. She's now our EVP of Strategy and Integration. I smiled. Perfect. Please schedule the meeting. After he left, Yara and Nisha immediately began firing questions. Are you actually thinking of selling to them? Yara asked, clearly shocked. I'm willing to listen, I replied. Nisha narrowed her eyes. You've got a plan. Let's just say I'm curious how Philomena will handle this meeting. The following Thursday, we arrived early at TGR's headquarters, me, Nisha, and our newly hired legal counsel, Imani. A receptionist led us to a spacious conference room, where Gerard greeted us with a warm smile. Philomena stood slightly behind him, her expression polite but guarded. Aviva, great to see you again, Gerard said. Thank you for your interest in Prism, I responded. This is Nisha, my co-founder and Chief Intelligence Officer, and Imani Ak, our General Counsel. After brief introductions, we sat down. I noted that Philomena had chosen the seat directly opposite mine. Before we get into details, I began, I'd like to understand TGR's vision for integrating Prism. Specifically, how do you plan to incorporate our methods and team? Gerard nodded to Philomena. She sat upright and responded smoothly, we see Prism becoming our innovation center. Your approaches would be implemented across our operations, and your team would guide our departments through that process. As for your talent assessment framework, very intriguing, but we'd need to align it with our recruitment standards. I noticed she carefully avoided acknowledging that the framework was designed to challenge those very standards. Could you clarify what you mean by alignment? I asked. She offered a tight smile. TGR is known for attracting a certain caliber of professionals. While we value diverse ideas, we have to maintain our reputation with clients. Interesting, I said. And who would lead that alignment? My division would handle the integration, she said. We'd collaborate closely during the transition, though hiring decisions would ultimately follow our current protocols. Gerard stepped in. We're prepared to offer a generous package. Your team would receive strong retention incentives, and you'd have a senior leadership role. Reporting to? I asked. To Philomena, Gerard answered. She oversees strategy and integration. I nodded. Thanks for the clarification. Before we talk numbers, I'd like to show you something. I turned my laptop toward them. A time-lapse visualization appeared, showing the performance of our client projects over 18 months, dramatically outperforming industry averages. Gerard and Philomena leaned in, visibly impressed. This isn't just incremental improvement, I said. These are fundamental changes in market strategy. Very compelling, Gerard said quietly. I switched visuals. Now, this is what the teams behind those results look like compared to industry norms. The chart highlighted Prism's unusually diverse talent pool. Our success isn't in spite of our unconventional hiring, it's because of it. We find people with different perspectives who spot opportunities others miss. Philomena's face hardened. Diversity efforts are important, of course. But TGR has standards to uphold for client trust. You mean the same standards that led you to dismiss me during my interview? I asked calmly. The room went still. I think that interaction may have been misinterpreted, Philomena said, carefully. There was no misinterpretation, I replied. You didn't find my achievements credible until someone else validated them. And now you want to impose the same flawed logic on my team. Gerard cleared his throat. Perhaps we should move to the financial discussion. Actually, I said, I have a counteroffer. I pulled out a folder and passed copies across the table. Gerard scanned the first page, eyebrows rising. This is unconventional. So is Prism, I said. Philomena frowned as she read. You're requesting that Prism operate independently, with control over hiring and methodology? Correct, I confirmed. And this section, Gerard added, demands creation of a new department for inclusive hiring, with authority to override standard recruitment decisions? Also correct, I said. Philomena's voice turned cold. That would dismantle our entire approach to talent acquisition. No, I said. It would transform it, based on proven outcomes. And you'd run this new department? Gerard asked. Yes. With full executive power and a direct reporting line to the board. Philomena set the document down carefully. This is completely unacceptable. You're asking to take control of how we hire across the company. I'm proposing a system that recognizes brilliance wherever it exists, I said evenly. Something your current process routinely overlooks. Gerard's expression shifted with concern. Aviva, while your track record is remarkable, this is far from a typical acquisition. You came to us because our different way of thinking delivers exceptional results, I said. If that's the value you want, you have to embrace what enables it. Gerard nodded slowly. We'll need to evaluate this internally, he said, gathering the documents. Of course, I said. We'll wait for your response. 3 days later, Darian called to arrange another meeting. This time, Gerard arrived by himself. Your proposed conditions caused quite a stir, he admitted as we sat down in my office. Philomena was adamantly opposed. I'm not surprised, I said. But after a full board review of your performance metrics, he added, the data made a compelling case. I've been authorized to resume negotiations, with a few adjustments. He handed over a revised proposal. Most of my major stipulations remained intact, though the talent department's authority was slightly narrowed and the timeline for rollout extended. This would represent a seismic shift for TGR, Gerard explained. The board wants to ensure this transformation is introduced responsibly. And Philomena's stance? I asked. He hesitated. She still has concerns, but she'll stand behind the board's final decision. Over the next 2 weeks, we worked through final terms. The inclusive hiring division would remain independent and hold meaningful authority, with timeline adjustments balanced by clear milestones to track progress. A month later, we made the acquisition public. The press coverage was intense, focused largely on the unusual structure that maintained Prism's independence while pivoting TGR's approach to talent. On my first official day at TGR's headquarters, I arrived early to prepare for the company-wide meeting where Gerard would introduce me and unveil the new hiring initiative. As I was organizing my presentation, Philomena entered the room. Congratulations on your appointment, she said with a measured tone. Thank you, I replied. I'm looking forward to collaborating. She gave a polite but tight-lipped smile. Let me be candid. I may have misjudged you. But TGR's standards exist for a reason. Not everyone who claims to be extraordinary actually is. I agree, I responded. That's why my team will focus on data-driven evaluation, not assumptions. She narrowed her eyes. Just keep in mind that our clients expect a certain level of professionalism. You mean like rejecting candidates based on a gut feeling? I asked. Her face hardened. I've been in this field for 2 decades. My instincts on talent have helped build this firm. Then you'll understand the need for systems that evolve as new evidence emerges, I said. The numbers show that those instincts have consistently overlooked high potential candidates. My job is to close that gap. We'll see how the board reacts after 6 months of your changes. They're not experiments, I corrected her. They're proven models. But you're right, results speak louder than anything. An hour later, as employees filed into the auditorium, I stood next to Gerard backstage. Philomena took a seat in the front row, her expression unreadable. Gerard gave a short but enthusiastic introduction before handing me the stage. I scanned the crowd of nearly 300 faces, some curious, others cautious. Many of you are wondering why TGR acquired Prism, I began, and why we insisted on such unusual terms. The answer is simple: excellence doesn't always look the way we expect it to. I clicked to the first slide, a time-lapse graph comparing client outcomes before and after implementing Prism's methods. The contrast was stunning. These gains didn't come from conventional strategies. They happened because we challenged long-held assumptions about markets, methods, and most importantly, people. The next slide displayed side-by-side profiles, traditional hires versus Prism-selected candidates. The visual made the point clear. This initiative isn't about lowering the bar, I continued. It's about realizing we've been measuring the wrong things. We've confused resumes with readiness and prestige with potential. Philomena's expression remained stony. In the coming months, every hiring manager will be trained in updated evaluation tools. Every rejected applicant must have documented, evidence-based justification outlining why they can't meet actual job requirements. I made eye contact with different members of the audience as I spoke. Change can be uncomfortable. But I'm not here to erase TGR's identity. I'm here to help us discover talent we've been trained to overlook. Talent that drives real innovation. When the presentation ended and applause spread across the room, I caught sight of Philomena quietly slipping out through a side exit. Our conflict wasn't over, but the shift had officially begun. The following weeks were bumpy. Several senior leaders pushed back, claiming the new requirements were tedious and unnecessary. Behind closed doors, Philomena backed their objections. Everything changed 6 weeks later. The first cohort of hires brought in through our new system completed their initial assignments, with results that far outpaced traditional hires in every measurable area. At the next board meeting, I presented the performance data, along with projections for future impact. The numbers were undeniable. This wasn't just the right thing to do, it gave TGR a serious competitive edge. One board member turned to Philomena. Why haven't we always hired this way? She didn't have a response. 3 months later, TGR's client satisfaction ratings hit record highs. Our new hiring model wasn't just changing who we brought in, it was transforming how we delivered results. But the most memorable moment came 1 year post-acquisition. I was working late when Philomena appeared at my door. Do you have a minute? She asked, her tone unusually tentative. Of course, I said, motioning her in. She sat down slowly. That Eastern Europe initiative, the team you pulled together, they uncovered opportunities no one else identified. They did excellent work, I agreed. One of them, Teresa, I turned her down twice before your framework flagged her, she said quietly. She's brilliant. She is, I said. Philomena looked down at her hands. I went back through every candidate I rejected over the last 5 years who later came through your department. The pattern is troubling. How so? I asked. I consistently overlooked people who didn't fit a narrow mold, even when they clearly had ability. She met my gaze. Including you. I said nothing, letting her speak. Was your real goal with this acquisition always about changing how we define talent? I thought carefully. When you dismissed my experience, you weren't just saying no to me, you were reinforcing a system that denies people opportunity based on bias, not ability. My goal wasn't to beat you or take your job. It was to dismantle that system, so it couldn't keep blocking people like me. She gave a slow nod. I've asked to be reassigned to lead our Asia-Pacific division. Before I go, I wanted you to know, I finally understand what you were trying to do. As she stood to leave, I said her name. She turned back. Excellence takes many forms, including the courage to reevaluate our own judgment. For the first time, she smiled genuinely. Maybe that's the most valuable skill of all. 2 years after founding Prism, what started as a quest to prove my worth had reshaped an entire sector. TGR's inclusive talent framework became the new benchmark, and rival firms scrambled to mimic our success. The consulting industry, once defined by rigid standards of who counts as qualified, was learning to value difference and depth. And my greatest vindication wasn't about embarrassing Philomena or taking over her role. It was about dismantling the mechanisms that let mediocrity in suits decide who deserves a chance, and building something better in their place. Have you ever been underestimated and proved everyone wrong? Share your story in the comments. It could empower someone going through the same thing. If this journey of reinvention and resilience resonated with you, hit the like button and subscribe. Every week, we bring you real stories of professional breakthroughs that prove success is the best revenge. Tap the bell so you never miss an episode, and let us know which industry gatekeepers we should challenge next.